Now before we get into this episode, a quick expositional dump for you all. As we know, the last episodes have followed the events of the novels Windsor, and at this point primarily the novel Fox's Feud. However, in this episode, we'll be getting into a story arc which follows the most unique of all the novels in the series, the Fox Cub Bold. This particular novel, and by extension this part of the show's story arc, basically follows the events of Bold after he leaves White Deer Park in an attempt to be his own entity and be more independent, and has gone on to become one of the most beloved parts of the franchise by many of the fans. The primary reasons for this are, for one, it's the only novel in where it focuses primarily on one character rather than the whole train at once, making the story much more focused and allowing the audience to connect with said character more effectively. 2, it's unrelentingly harsh, but not in a way of gore and violence like it does sometimes in the show, but rather through an element of luck and whims of fate driving a poor and helpless character to go places and meet people that gets him into trouble. Because of this, the whole story feels more like a coming-of-age story rather than the journey and destination story that Farthing is known for, demonstrating both the intrigue and whimsical mysteries of the adult world, whilst also showing how cruel and harsh it can be, and all from the perspective of a really great character who is easily relatable and understandable in his exploits. As such, fans and general viewers have adored this part of the story for being different than the regular Farthing Wood style, but still keeping it true to it at the same time, with the elements of survival, companionship, and the dangers of a world for an animal. So I'll try my best to do this justice, but we will see all of that unfold before us now. And now with that very lengthy introduction out of the way, let's get into the episode itself. So we start off with Bold leaving the park and his symbolic leaping of the fence to the great unknown. Will he be able to show his friends and family that he's capable of being just as great and wise as his father, and that he can survive in the real world? Of course not. What show do you think you're watching here? However, the sound of a banjo... No, seriously, listen. All we need now is a kazooie. We are then promptly introduced to one of our new characters.
Caw! Any real fox would turn up his nose at a scrap like that.
This is Robber, played by Jeremy Barrett, who will become one of Bold's guardian angels in this story. Basically, his role is to chastise Bold on anything he does where he thinks that it's below the stature of what a fox should do, such as eating garbage, even though he does it himself very often. And yes, for those who are going to bring it up, I know that Robber is not technically his name in this series. While they do call him a robber at some points, his real name is technically just Crow, whereas in the books he was referred to as Robber. I understand that, but quite frankly it just seems like a much cooler name. Anyway, Robber does take up Bold's offer to eat, but he says that he won't until Bold leaves. And why, you may ask?
Dancing your luck, aren't you?
What do you mean?
Out and about in daylight? Aren't you afraid of the humans?
What humans?
Ah, you can mock, but you'll be sorry.
Why don't you come and eat?
I will. When you've gone.
Too cautious by half.
Robber's mentality here is basically the same as a person who doesn't really like going out to dinner with a certain friend that others don't like very much. He's a bit afraid of getting harassed if people catch him with him. Only here, harassed gets replaced with a bullet in the head. So Bold goes off and absent-mindedly leaves a tuft of his hair on a barbed wire fence, and he then comes across, "Oh hi Pheasant, I didn't know you survived. How's the wife? Hot and tender as always?" So yes, Bold ends up getting his mitts on a pheasant, and then he comes across an earth to settle in, not realising that it already belongs to someone. You know, that whole situation was very reminiscent of the scene in where Fox first meets Vixen from the last series. Though I do hope that the resolve of this situation doesn't end the same as that one, since, well, the person who he's about to meet is not exactly his type, but you'll see what I mean. Dear God, imagine what the children would look like. Aw, no, I take it back. That is actually quite cute. Oh dear God, what the fuck is that thing? So yes, this is another one of Bold's guardian angel characters. Her name hasn't been given yet, And to be quite honest, I think I'd prefer you guys to find it out as it comes, because it's a pretty cool one. She basically fills the surrogate mother role for Bold since he's out and about on his own without any parents, and she's a very kind and endearing character.
I'm new around here. My nose led me.
The pheasants. Yes, a lot of foxes come, but they don't stay.
Oh yeah, and guest voice actor Peter Capaldi. What? Most of the modern Doctors have done drag roles at one time or another, so why doesn't Capaldi? Oh, wait, yeah, he's already done that. Actually, I only say that because nobody's been able to find out who actually voices her, which again becomes even more ironic when we find out what her name is.
Here, have it, for the use of your set.
Thank you.
Plenty more where that came from.
See, one of the things I genuinely love about this part of Bold's story is that he could have easily just been a jerk to everyone he met. But no, he's genuinely polite and kind to everyone he sees, and this makes him more like his father than he probably realises himself, once again showing how the same two things can repel each other even more, especially to who he comes across later. And trust me, when he meets them, he's gonna wish that he never left the park. But as expected, the local farmer ends up finding a piece of Bold's fur, and, well... Jesus, the only place you can see more skins than that is on E4. As you can see, the element of danger and intrepidation is being set in fierce here. Though it might be a bit too strong, to be honest. Seriously, farmer, did all of these animals really enter your farm? Or were you just going mental with some bait and a shotgun? Hell, this one was shot in the head! That's not being protective, you're just being a psycho! Oh, and by the way, these don't count to the cold counter, since we either have to have 1. Known the character when they were alive, or 2. Have witnessed their death. So no dice here, hombre. And I'm also not counting any of the generic animals that the train eats because, well, circle of life and all that. Right, Mufasa? So Bold takes it on the nose and doesn't care about the animal equivalent of Leatherface presenting his trophies outside his house, and continues his endeavours with the female badger, unaware of what the farmer has in store for him. Meanwhile, back at White Deer Park, a phrase of which you'll be hearing a lot in the next part of this series, so to make it seem a little less boring, I'm going to do this every time. We then cut over to Hare and his family. Or rather, what's left of it now.
Help! That's my wife!
Excuse me one moment. And thus, another one of the original train bites the dust. Or rather, Scarface bit them. And rather viciously too. I hope you'll get what's coming to you one day, Scarface.
Oh, well, what's coming to you, Tom?
The world, Chico. And everything in it.
So Fox hears about the attack, and even though it wasn't actually done on Farthing land, he still takes offence to this regardless, which I would completely understand. So, what are you going to do about this, Fox?
The oath means more than ever now. Everyone will look to you, Fox.
Yes, but we don't want to start a war between the Blue Foxes and Farthing Wood.
Still gnawing away at that bone, are we?
He who lives by stealth shall die by stealth.
I see. So you're saying he killed Dreamer in such a way none of us knew it was him. Now we've got to kill him in the same way.
Oh, okay. Well, sod the peace, we're going full gang warfare mode now. Fox is taking the Blair initiative here.
Did I say that?
You know you did, you pompous old bird. She should get married. That'd soon sort her out.
Sounds like Weasel's read the script for the next series. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Don't worry, it won't be as easy as you think it will be.
Oh, she'll get married, yeah.
Okay, now Measley is starting to sound like Kenneth Williams. Which is quite frankly the last thing I want to be thinking about.
Everyone's becoming better and better, and less and less. And eventually someone's going to be superb at nothing.
Actually, that does sum up a lot of the characters in this show. Regardless, the train realises that Ada is their best bet for a stealthy kill, and Fox sets Weasel and Measley the opportunity of delivering the message. Ugh, Fox! Do you realise what you've just done here? You've made the mistake that every Power Rangers villain makes every series. You've set the comic relief characters to do the most important thing that you can think of. Don't go blaming me if you suddenly realise things have gone wrong. You've only got yourself to blame for this one, my friend. So Weasel and Measley pop off like Tweedledum and Tweedledence and try and give the message to Ada, with expected confusing results.
We've got an important message for you.
What did you have to go and tell her like that for? You've spoilt it now.
Why shouldn't I tell her?
Because you're not Farthing Ward and I am, that's why.
I don't see what that's got to do with anything. Fox gave me the message too.
Oh look, she's gone again. That's your fault, that is.
Why is it my fault?
The protectors! They still do nothing!
Al said it had to be done by stealth. That's why Fox chose you.
What did he say exactly?
He said... Oh, wait a minute. Let me get it right.
He said...
Shut up!
No, he didn't say that.
He said, tell Ada, he who rids me, I mean him, of, now how did he put it? Something Blue Fox.
I don't think it matters, does it?
It's an enigma. That's what it is, matron. An enigma.
I am not having another one of those.
Anyway, he said they'd be doing him a service. So there you are.
Oh, and also, beware the Ides of March, I'm trapped in a Chinese cookie factory, don't rest on your laurels, and I've done a bad murder. That all makes sense? No? Good! So of course the message is royally screwed up and Ada gets cross-wire confusion in thinking that she's just got to kill a blue fox, but not Scarface in particular. You see what I was talking about, Fox? Why don't you go and send this guy, or this guy next time? Apparently they're good with messages.
Oh no, don't be like that. After all, we're the first guest they've ever had. They're bound to have teething troubles.
They got more teething troubles than a crocodile with pyorrhea.
Meanwhile, well, the feud storyline of Farthing Wood is famous for many things, but apart from the feud itself, plot elements are none more infamous than this. Take a look.
Hi there.
Don't come any closer. I'm on Farthing Land.
Would I hurt anything so lovely?
Ugh, sounds creepier than I remember.
Are you Scarface's son?
Sure. Look, don't blame me. I didn't choose my appearance. Neither did you.
I wouldn't have chosen any different.
But we don't need to let their quarrel come between us, do we?
What do you mean? How can we be friends? We even look different.
But we feel the same.
I've got a feeling down here that's very agreeable right now. Okay, my snark aside, you can probably guess what's going on here. Ranger and Charmer are becoming friends within the feud, and that will develop further as the series progresses. It's actually very nice and, for a lack of a better term, charming to see, even if it is a tad too familiar to another story about members from rival factions finding love in a war zone. That's right, West Side Story. This has also allowed Ranger to become a fan favourite in the eyes of the fan base from his suave but endearing persona. And it's a love story that is very nice to see, and while it is old and full of generic tropes, it's still a classically revered story element regardless. And what I love about it is that it actually takes its time to develop, as we see here. Charmer is not so easily won over as you would think and actually turns her back on Ranger. She'll be back though. In the end, all are won over from the charms of Ranger.
You're a rough one, ain't ya? But I like that in a woman. Fancy a quick jig.
Meanwhile, Bold ends up hearing something in the distance. I'm sure it's nothing. No, in fact, the female badger has gotten her hand caught in a fox trap. And yet, her hand hasn't been chopped off despite the amount of force those things exert, and Bold comes to her rescue.
Keep still. Every move you make, it tightens its grip.
How does he know that? He's never seen one before, and Fox never told him about them, so how exactly does he know how they work? Or is he just a Wikipedia addict and he just looks any feature page he can find? After this, I've got to show you this page about cattle prods. They're mental. And I've also found this page on something called WWE personnel. I've heard it's insane. So Bold, without many other options, decides to bite through the wire. What? But it's wire!
Any fool could see that.
I can't last for long. The pain's terrible. Oh.
Don't give up. I won't.
I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Go! Why do you have the chance?
This is real nail-biting stuff.
Oh!
So Bold does manage to bite through the wire fast enough to avoid the hunter, but the snapping trap has left him with a massive slash across his eye. You see, Scarface? That's a proper scar. I don't even know how you lost yours, given the fact that your scar doesn't even touch your eye. You shouldn't even really be called Scarface at this point, though if I start doing that, the fanbase will eat me alive.
Why did you do it?
That trap was meant for me.
All the more reason for you to stay away from it. He might have caught you.
He didn't.
And now you're wounded.
I'm all right.
You're not like other foxes, are you? You must put as many miles between you and man as you can. He won't rest till he's got you.
Shut up, Badger Mum. I'll play around with traps as much as I want. You can't tell me what to do.
Not before I've had my supper.
Well, tension of a painful death be damned, supper's on. So Bold graciously gives the badger one of his pheasants that he's hunted, and then says his farewells.
This is for you. You won't need to hunt tonight.
Thank you. I'll always be your friend. If you ever need me.
Thank you. I'll remember that.
Ah, he's made a friend in a valley of death. It's like Mad Max Fury Road all over again. So Bold takes off for new pastures, though in the process manages to walk right into the middle of a pheasant shoot. I'd watch yourself here, Bold. According to the last series, hunters are just trigger-happy lunatics that will shoot anything that moves, no matter what they're supposed to be hunting.
That is a very big one you have there, is it not, Mr. Woozy?
Eh? Oh, this.
But they are fools. He is Bold. He is so awesome that bullets cannot harm him. Oh. Well, so much for that then.
Oh dear, there goes another tube.
Regardless, I really am on the edge of my seat here now. How the hell's he gonna get out of this one? Ah, god damn it! So we catch back up with Ada making her way to Scarface's patch to carry out her mission. But given the last season example, the editor seems to have ADD and can't focus on one thing for too long, so we cut over to Whistler and Owl now.
Can't look to you for sparkling conversation then, can I?
If you're bored, why don't you go and see what Ada's up to?
This I've got to see. But how can I? She's got me standing guard again. It's all right for her, going in and out of the cool water.
Oh yes, this is very gripping. Never mind the fact that we have the potential simultaneous death of two foxes going on right now. Oh no, no. We need a scene where Whistler tries to get his masculinity back. What is this, Dr. Phil? Actually, Whistler's starting to become as self-righteous and pompous as old Phil Nuts, so it might as well be. I'll just sum up this whole scene so we can get it over with. Whistler yells at Speedy, she folds faster than a sloppy calzone, and then Whistler goes off to find Ada. There, done. Can we get back to the exciting stuff now?
Oi, you! Found her! It's your watch!
Oh, fuck you! No, actually, this is getting back to what we want to see, as Ada waits in the stones by the lookout and waits for the next blue fox to come by. Which Bounder, Scarface's other son, after some distraction does so, and, well...
She's got the wrong fox.
Thank you, Air Force Obvious. Anything else you want to inform us on? Like, say, what colour the sky is today? So Whistler decides to go back to Fox's Earth and give him the bad news.
Hang on a minute, Whistler. You said Ada'd got a blue fox.
Precisely.
Which one?
Not being familiar with Scarface's entire tribe, I cannot say. Which is why... You mean it wasn't Scarface? Definitely not. I take it Ada got it wrong.
Too right she got it wrong. Now we're in trouble.
No doubt. You're not just in Shit Creek anymore, you're in Shit Ocean, and the tide's going out fast. Oh, and let's throw in some more crosswire confusion while we're at it. And an interesting catalyst to Ranger and Charmer's relationship.
But who did Ada strike?
Does it matter? The point is, it wasn't Scarface.
Why do you want to know, Charmer?
Oh, no reason. Only... It would be a shame if it was a young cub.
Oh, if it was, then it wasn't one of this year's. Big fella he was.
Oh, good.
Are you hiding anything, perchance, young lady? Man, talk about schizophrenic. In the last scene, she seemed to want to have nothing to do with him. Now she couldn't see her life without him. But don't worry, the romance does get its chance to flow slowly, in time.
What difference does it make if it was this year's or last? The point is, if it was one of Scarface's tribe, he'll be after revenge.
He was anyway. He already blamed Fox for the death of 3 of his cubs during the winter. He just now has a legitimate reason to give Fox a good kicking. But, hey, that's what happens, I guess. So what's the solution, Fox?
We'd better be ready, Dad.
Ready? You mean ready to defend ourselves? No. We've got to attack. We've got to get him before he gets us. That's all there is to it.
Jesus Christ, Fox! I know that this is a life or death situation, but calm the hell down, man! You're not General Patton.
Once you see your friend's face in a pile of goo, you'll understand the true meaning of the oath.
Vixen, as always, comes in to try and be the voice of reason, though Fox decides to promptly be a dick to her now.
You sound just like Scarface. Perhaps we older ones should let the young ones sort things out.
The young ones, eh?
Oh, my darling, can't you see, young one?
What madness. Friendly might be game, but he's not up to Scarface yet.
That isn't what I meant.
What Vixen meant, if you don't mind me saying so, Fox, is that you and I aren't getting any younger.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I say.
Don't be upset, Badger. Fox didn't mean it.
Be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about, you old codger. It was one of the young ones, as you call them, that got us into this trouble in the first place.
So I don't know what I'm talking about, don't I? Well, in that case, no point in staying, is there?
Talk about the worm turning. Now it's Badger who's being treated harshly by Fox.
I wonder how life's treating our poor Bold.
Poor Bold? He deserves whatever he gets.
You mean like missing an eye and getting shot in the leg? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he deserved that, didn't he?
Perhaps next time you consider having a lump, you'll think twice about it.
So this was certainly an intense episode, full of drama, suspense, atmosphere, and of course a whole lot more death. Just all the great things a good Farthing Wood episode needs. Bold's journey is a great way to explore his character. Of all the Fox cubs, he had the most potential to grow into a really interesting character, and I'm glad they took advantage of it. Plus, his youthful recklessness makes him relatable to more teenage audiences, and allows us to revisit the original series theme of a journey and constant danger lurking behind every corner, which is a very welcome return, and we've got plenty more of his antics yet to come. In terms of the general story, there are a lot of great moments here, particularly from Ada, who makes up from her absence from the first half of the series with gusto, and the developing romance between Ranger and Charmer is really nice to see. Actually, this episode has many comparisons to Romeo and Juliet besides that, in that Bounder's death mimics Tybalt's death quite a bit. It's actually really clever the way they incorporated that. However, one of the things that many people do have trouble with is how in this part of the story, the way Fox acts towards his friends. And while I admit that it's not particularly nice to see, you do have to understand that it's an element of being a leader and that the stress of his losses and the potential losses that he could have are rising to the top and just overbearing him, and he naturally would get pissed and lash out. It's only natural. But don't worry, he doesn't stay like this forever. That would actually be a pain. Overall, a decent episode to begin a new storyline and continue another one, and next week we won't be able to tell heads from tails anymore. and sadly, neither will Ada.
And now for something completely different.